The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot.
Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make a lot of noise, but we ain't rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. For you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghost. You're scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Oh, the deeper I fall.
Okay! Game on! Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hello, Toby. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Please take your seat about way. We're with you. It's time to take off. Start. 2, 1. Boost ignition and lift off.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and it's great to have you along for the ride on this Thursday, August 31st, Friday, September 1st. If you're on the East Coast or across the pond, hope you had a great day and night, as we are live right here in the Great White North on top of the Smoky, once again, mountains on top of central British Columbia, as we are here 7 days a week. Yes, the forest fires keep on growing in this area. Got to shoo them away. Let's welcome in everyone listening in on terrestrial stations WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Like our music, get your horns up for Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot is the official music of SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, we're all over the place, starting on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Tune us in on TuneIn, download our shows, and subscribe to our channel on iTunes. We're also on TalkStream Live and iHeartRadio in the United States, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, if you want to take part in the show, you got to sign into one of our chat rooms, either on Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the UPRN chat room, or on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I will get to your questions and comments in there as well. Now, if you head to our website for $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. And as of right now, you can go to our store and pick up a t-shirt, poster, or stickers. We have the Encounter Online, our great news section put together by Eric Markham and Everett Thiemer. You can read up on my latest blog there as well. We have great videos from Tim Doyle's UFO Seekers and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV as well. Tonight's guest is no stranger to Spaced Out Radio, as many of you have heard Paisley Town and her talents on the weekend Psychic Medium show. And Paisley now continues that with Elizabeth Angland every second Sunday. Paisley is a very talented numerologist and one of the more real people you can find in this field of study. While trained in many mystical and psychic arts, it was when Paisley was introduced to psychometry that her intuitive really took off. As she developed facility with her intuition, other pieces of Paisley's puzzle began to fall into place. She built on her ability to sense and direct energy by becoming a certified Feng Shui consultant, and also by studying energy bodywork at the ARC Institute, numerology with Klain Konings, and tarot card reading as well. You know, Paisley, I have to say, you've been on Spaced Out Radio for a couple of years now on the weekends, and this is the first time we've had you on as a guest on this side. How are you?
It's true. I'm really well, Dave. How are you?
Good. I'm actually quite excited about this. Very excited about it. Me
too.
You know, because
it's about time.
It is. It is. And, you know, you could probably kick my butt for that, but that's okay. You know, that's okay. How you been?
I've been really well. I did sneak in on one of your roundtables about 6 months ago.
Yes, you did.
I did. That was fun. We were talking about paranormal investigations with Mike Morin, and I think Everett was on there. There was a few guests that night.
Well, you know what? It's something that we try and mix up, and I don't like, and I know this is bad, I really don't really like, you know, hopping into the weekend and kind of taking someone from what they are doing on the weekends, because Dave and Elizabeth are so busy with their shows as well. But you and I have developed quite a friendship over the last year and a half, let's say, and I just felt, you know what? I just felt, you know what? It's time. It's time to get things going.
I'm excited to be on the show. Yeah, thanks.
Are you nervous? Because it is a different crowd.
No. I've done some live radio before, other than this awesome show, Spaced Out Radio.
I know you have. Well, I'm very glad that you are with us tonight. You will be with us for the full entire show of 3 hours. So I'm excited. And the other thing that I'm excited about, too, is a lot of our audience knows you as part of being on the weekend show, doing the readings during the Psychic Medium show. And, you know, they don't know you personally. So when did you start, Paisley, learning about your own abilities and intuitiveness?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. When I was about 3 years old, I started talking to my mom about things that would happen in my 20s. And the family that I grew up in was really superstitious. Some of my family lineage is Romanian gypsy, and they were kind of not wanting me to go that route. So when I was in my 20s, some of the events that I spoke about when I was 3 came very close to coming to fruition to the point of scariness. So my mom told me when I was 26 some of the stuff that I told her when I was 3, and it was pretty shocking. I was really surprised. I almost fell off my chair. Since then, I found a bunch of crystal stores in my hometown. I grew up in Windsor, and when I got connected with crystal stores, everything just kind of took off from there. So I needed to move away from my family so that I could be psychic. I don't know. That's probably the best way to explain it.
Was it something that kind of caught you off guard when you started having intuitiveness? Because for a lot of people out there, they aren't tuned in, and they need to understand what it's like to all of a sudden see things happening or get premonitions or you know, have some sort of deja vu experience that they can fully comprehend.
Yeah, it was frightening to me, and it was really, really uncomfortable, especially because I didn't have a lot of peer support where I could like go to somebody and ask what's going on, what just happened, how did this come to fruition. So because of the lack of support, though, it's turned itself full circle, because I now teach people that have intuitive gifts that are a little bit uncomfortable with them. So I do workshops for psychics here locally in the Vancouver, British Columbia area.
When you started learning about your own abilities and taking it over, how much did it really take over who you were, Paisley? Because for a lot of people, you know, they may have those premonitions that they don't understand, or they may have that spirit walk out of a closet that they, you know, think they recognize but don't believe it's happening to them. How long did it take you to grasp everything that was going on?
Well, long before I started doing psychic readings, I house sat for a friend of mine. He went to Florida for a couple weeks, and I rearranged his furniture and wallpapered one of the walls in his home. And I was visited by some ghosts. And I always was interested in ghosts, except I just wasn't sure if they were real, but I wanted to believe that they were. And I'll tell you, once that happened for me, there was no doubt in my mind if ghosts were around or not. Like it was so evidential for me, so solid and so clear and so life-changing that I think I was more open to start, like, at least learning about different things to do with metaphysics after that experience. I always say, like, if you've never met a ghost, then you won't believe in them.
Isn't that the truth? Well, I think you can believe in a ghost, you know, just because you haven't seen one, but it sure changes the direction of everywhere you go, you know, considering when you do have that experience, that when you see something that isn't supposed to exist.
Yeah, it's so true, yeah. And so I'm not sure when things started exactly happening for me. I've been learning metaphysics for about the last 12 years or so. And the more we surround ourselves with people that are like-minded, you know, like everybody in the Spaced Out Radio chat room and, you know, members of the SOAR team, the more you surround yourself with people, like your intuition just opens up more because you trust yourself more. And you know you're talking to people that trust you. So I think that's part of the key, is to try and surround yourself with a network of people that are gifted as well. And it just goes straight up from there. It just really enhances what you have, I think. For me anyways, it's true.
How long did it take you to finally accept that this was your path?
Well, I took courses at a metaphysical school. I volunteered for the school instead of being paid. I did administration for this small school that had 16 teachers. And I took quite a few of the psychic development courses, like all different things: tea leaf reading, a little mini tarot workshop, fingerprint identity, like similar to palmistry, foot readings, a lot of different kinds of topics. And the moment I did psychometry, the very, very first time that I tried it, I said to myself, this is why I'm here on the planet. Like, this is what I'm meant to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and I can help a lot of people with it.
Do you find that there are people very open to the experience who are first-time people coming to learn what numerology is or psychometry?
Well, people are interested in how does it work, because it kind of seems like, based on a name, for example, how would you get detailed, specific information about a person just based on their first name or based on their nickname? How does that tell you what their personality is like? So most people are pretty surprised. On the air, I've done like mini readings for 5 or 10 minutes. And normally if someone comes for a session, it's 60 to 70 minutes long. So I could probably do like an hour and a half reading numerology-wise. And it's a lot of detailed information. So I'm just really passionate about that.
Well, we're going to get into a lot about numerology coming up here. Do you find with your own abilities, because you don't like to label yourself as psychic, you and I have talked about this numerous times off the air, yet a lot of people have troubles defining what a numerologist is, a psychometrist, a psychic medium. In the end, isn't it all just a big batch of intuitiveness?
I think part of it is intuition, and yeah, I don't know. I just, it's so interesting how we're all connected. It's the Cadbury question, Dave. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I know it's a vague question in regards to everything, but why don't you consider yourself psychic?
Certain, it's interesting. Even the 10 years that I've been doing psychic readings full time, there's different names and words that have come in and out of popularity. So when I first started, let's say, doing readings for clients, you know, for money, the word psychic in this area where I was working was a little bit of a taboo word even 10 years ago. And so I used to call myself, you know, for a while, a mystic, which is really vague. Or when you tell people that, hey, I'm a psychic, some people take their hand and kind of shove it in your face, and they say, you read my palm. Or some people say, what am I thinking? It's really interesting to see reactions from people when you use the word psychic, because it's such a broad scale of a word. It encompasses like mediumship, and I don't do a lot of mediumship, although I do connect with spirit. Like, for example, the way that Joanna reads and the way that I read. Joanna was on our show for quite a long time, really popular psychic, and she's, you know, it takes 3 months to get in to see her. She's really good at mediumship, and I don't really do exactly what she does, but sometimes I get similar information that she gets.
Mm-hmm. When you are heading into a session, how do you prepare? Do you ground yourself? Do you say prayers? How do you do it?
Absolutely. Grounding, prayers. Usually, I won't say usually, I will always light a candle before I do any sessions. It's just like if you were going to make dinner and you'd set the table before you sit down. It's kind of like just a tradition for me. I light a candle. I almost always will have quite a few crystals, crystal balls, kind of like good luck omen charm kind of things on my table. I always use a really elegant tablecloth for my readings instead of just, you know, some people will go and have a reading like at a coffee shop, but I pretty much bring a suitcase with me, and I have a lot of props and a lot of beautiful divination tools that I bring: pendulums, tarot cards, oracle cards, all different decks of cards. And because sometimes people might come for a reading and they might think they're there for a numerology reading, but based on their question or what they're looking for, or based on what Spirit's telling me, they're looking for something different than numerology. So that's where psychometry comes in, or card readings. So I just let Spirit kind of guide me there.
We already have a few questions piling up because everybody's so familiar with you. They want to get their questions in. Do you mind going in early?
Sure, that's great.
All right. Tracy from Vancouver Island is asking, what is your life path number, Paisley? Is there anything that you don't agree with or doesn't ring true about your number?
Well, this is an interesting question. I don't focus too much on doing readings for myself. What happens for me is I had a birth name that never resonated with me for most of my life, and it wasn't until I had a numerology reading that I actually decided to change my name. So my life path number now really blends well with my new name, Paisley. But this is just something I've been using for about 12 years. I can't even imagine being called by my other name anymore. It's not me.
What? Was it like Drusilla or something along those lines?
It was a Walton's name. Like John Boy.
John Boy Town. That doesn't sound very, very feminine. I'm not going to lie. It does not sound feminine at all.
My birth name was Sue Ann.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a, southern kind of a name.
That is very country-ish. How many goats did your family have to get a name like that?
We had a Toyota.
Okay. All right. Now, moving on here, in regards to yourself, a lot of psychic people have troubles reading, or intuitive people have troubles reading themselves. Do you find that you have troubles defining what is the message and what is your own personal emotion?
I used to when I was more new at what I was doing. Now I just trust spirit. And one of the, like when you were talking earlier about grounding and protection, so some peers of mine use a system to ground called GAP, G-A-P, and it means ground, ascend, and protect. It's just a really quick way to, so when you're grounding, you dig your roots into the earth. Ascend, it's like you're pulling yourself up into use sky energy. And then whatever kind of, some people have spirit guides or some people have different methods of protection that they use. So normally I do that first. Sorry, what was your question, Dave? I was getting to that.
In regards to, reading yourself, because a lot of people, such as myself, when I go to use my pendulum, if I ask something about me, I don't know if I'm getting the right answer or not.
Yeah, I don't ask a lot of questions about me, but luckily, because I'm connected to more than 70 psychics here in the Lower Mainland, I like to network with other people. Because I know so many psychics, sometimes psychics will, I'll be on the phone talking to them about an event or something that's coming up, and they will just come out with something over the phone, even without seeing me, about a decision that's going on for me or about information that I didn't even know I was looking for. And so I get a lot of readings, but not intentionally, if that makes sense. So I think I don't really read for myself. Occasionally I might pull 3 cards if I'm bored or I'm waiting for something to happen. I might just shuffle my deck and pull 3 cards. But to me, that would be more like advice for the day or something like that. I never sit down and say, how am I going to resolve this issue in my life? I don't ask myself serious psychic questions like that. I leave it up to the other people.
Let's get to another question. Gail is asking, what exactly is psychometry?
That's a good question. So I went to this psychic development class, and the teacher passed around some random pieces of jewelry that she knew the history of. So she knew who owned the piece and a little bit about maybe where it was made or what country it came from. So she passed around, there was about 7 of us in class. She passed around little pieces, and I ended up with a lady's stick pin. So I held it in my hand, and the teacher said, there's a paper and pencil in front of you. Just write down whatever comes. And I thought to myself, this is stupid. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. And the teacher could see I was frustrated, and she said, just don't talk. Just sit with your paper and your pencil, close your eyes, and just see what comes up for you. So I ended up writing down about 12 things. So one by one, we ran around the class, and people read their lists. And because she knew the history of the pieces that she passed out, so I read my list, and about 10 of the things of 12 were confirmed by the teacher. The name of the lady who owned the jewelry, who passed away, her hairstyle, what she looked like, how tall she was, what kind of fabric of clothing she wore, what her personality was like. It was really specific information. Even the correct spelling of the woman's name, which was a very unusual, unique name that most people don't have.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's get to another question here. This one comes from Trip, who is asking, how do you do foot readings?
That's a good question. I don't do foot readings. So there was a teacher that came to, this was about 12 years ago, to the psychic development workshops that I was attending. And I believe she was from China, if I'm not mistaken. And she would have us stand with our feet shoulder length apart. She studied feet for many, many years. And based on like how long your toes are, how thick your toes are, if there was a gap between your toes, you know, if this toe is longer than that toe, it meant something different. So she just kind of had us stand in a circle. And it was a little bit weird because in this classroom, we had never run around barefoot before. And even just like everybody in the room taking off their socks and shoes, everybody was kind of giggly. So she went around the room from person to person to foot to foot to foot, explaining the difference between the left foot and the right foot and the spaces and everything. And she nailed our personalities, and we knew each other, but she didn't know us. So we were having a lot of laughs that night. It was pretty interesting. It was the first time I had ever seen it done.
I don't know if I could. My feet are too ticklish.
Well, she didn't touch us. We were just standing in a circle, and she just, from a standing viewpoint, she just looked down. She stood in front of us and stared at our feet.
I don't know if I would do that. There's some ugly feet out there. There's some ugly feet.
People were laughing because, you know, some people didn't shave their legs, and there was a lot of stuff going on there.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I think that's about enough information for this G-rated show, Paisley. Hairy legs is not a good thing.
Okay.
Yes. Anyhow, let's move on here. So what do you like to focus on? Do you like to focus on the numbers and the numerology of it all?
It's a really good question. Psychometry is my first love as far as metaphysics goes, just because it came to me so instantly and because it was fun and because I could see how it could end up like making money, but also being of service to other people. Like, for example, they use psychometry to help find missing people. So that would be really useful on the planet at a time where a lot of people go missing and people have dementia and Alzheimer's and children get kidnapped. And, you know, so there's a lot of work there where you could be of service to people. But I think numerology has also pulled me into it because I didn't realize this till high school, but I'm dyslexic with my numbers. So I remember always saying when I was younger, you know, I hate numbers. I'll never work with numbers. Numbers are stupid. I don't understand them. How come I can't, you know, pass my exams? This is crazy. And now I do numerology. So I don't know. Both of them pull me. Strong pull.
It's weird how numbers affect. You know what? I got into journalism because I didn't like numbers either.
Really? That's cool.
Really. I was looking for a career where I didn't have to deal with math because it was such a nemesis for me in high school. And yet I ended up in financing after radio. But the main thing is, you know, I tried, the only thing I wanted to know about numbers was goals, assists, total points, and penalty minutes. And maybe how long a yard was. You know, any type of statistic I was fine with as long as it was sports. But, you know, trying to figure out any type of geometry or mathematics to make something happen, oh, I was dead in the water. Dead in the water. I didn't even like banking.
Yeah, I can understand. It can be really frustrated when there's something that you need to know and it's hard to grasp, you know, for whatever reason. Yeah, I can totally understand that.
Absolutely. So how do you laugh at it now, looking back and thinking, man, I work with numbers all the time?
I don't even think about it. I'm just so excited about what I do. Like, it's a pleasure to be able to do readings for people and provide them with insight or information. 2 weeks ago on Saturday, I read for a woman. She was a repeat client, and she purchased a reading for her husband as well. So I did a 1 hour reading for her about her new business that she's going to open. So she let me help have a look at some of the business names that she was considering and doing the numerology on the business names based on her name and her birthday. And then right after that, I read for another hour for her husband, who had had a numerology like reading 15 years ago or something. So when I read for him, a lot of medical intuition came through. So I talked to him about, the carpal tunnel that he had, and I talked to him about, certain specific things to him that just came through right away because he was really open to having a reading. And this is a gentleman that works in conjunction with the RCMP to guard high-level cabinet ministers when they're overseas at meetings and stuff. So it was really fun to do a reading for somebody like that.
When you work with somebody who really wants to be skeptical about this, how do you get through the skepticism? What proof do people need when they come to you?
Well, firstly, I don't read body language, but occasionally I'll get someone, sit at a table and the person sitting in the chair across from me, they might have their arms crossed, or they might be tapping on the table, or they might be sitting pretty far back from me. And if I can't get a good reading from their keys or something, I'll just say to them, listen, do you want to just relax and put your feet on the floor and take a couple deep breaths and maybe put your arms down, not cross your arms? Because even crossing the arms, it's almost like they're putting up a wall between me and them. And as soon as people uncross their arms, boom, it's like a direct line to them. It's really fast. It just happens. Mm-hmm. And I liken the idea to, the movie Avatar, how they connected to their flying animals,
That was
kind of
cool.
like that. Yeah.
Does everybody have, in your opinion, a spiritual story that they are waiting to be told?
Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. I guess it depends on the person and what they've been through, because some people, Dave, they don't even want people to know their story. I've had people, men, women, teens, elders, seniors, I've had people break down in tears when I touch on an intimate detail or piece of what's going on for them, like maybe in their marriage or with one of their kids, or just whatever information comes through. I feel obligated to, share it with them. And I've had people just break down and, use up half a box of Kleenex in a session. Because, some stuff is very private, and for that reason, I only read for one person at a time, unless I'm doing a demonstration of what I do. And I keep it light. Like if I'm in a church doing a demonstration, I like to keep it a little bit on the funny side.
I can see that, and I can see how it is a very intimate setting. Is it because you connect more when there's only one person around, that you try and keep it to one person?
Yeah. No, what happens is, so for example, I read energy. So whether, if I was holding your car keys, I'm reading the energy from your keys. And some people don't wear jewelry, and some people say, oh, my wife has my car keys in her purse and she just left to go for coffee, so I don't have any keys with me and I don't wear jewelry. So I kind of connect to spirit, do my ground, ascend, protect kind of ritual, and then I just do my best to open the communication between spirit and myself, and between myself and client, with the intention in mind that I would like the highest and best information for them to come through. And it's okay if I don't understand the information. So as far as if they're skeptical or if they're apprehensive about something and I hit on it, I read their energy. So if two people are sitting there, let's say a shy person and somebody who skydives, I might be talking to the shy person and say, you're really outgoing and you have no fear and you take risks all the time. And they say, no, that's my friend sitting in the chair right here. So because I'm reading energy, sometimes it can be confusing if two people are in the room, or two people are in the session getting a reading. So I prefer to just read for one person at a time. And I take notes for them so they can share it with their husband or their friend or whoever. Or they could record the session with their phone. Sometimes people even use their cell phone to take a picture of the tarot card spread that comes on the table, because it kind of tells a little bit of a story.
I can see that. And when it comes to accuracy, there's no way anybody who is intuitive can ever be 100% accurate. How do you deal with accuracy?
I have a lot of repeat clients, and that's good enough for me. I don't know like what percentage of accuracy my readings would be. I've never really thought of it in those terms. Like, I know, for example, Sylvia Brown and people like that. Many people have said, oh, she's this many percent accurate or whatever, but I don't do mediumship. So some of the information that comes up for me I might reveal something that has already happened, or I might reveal something that's happening now, or I might reveal something that's about to happen. Like, time is kind of fluid, whether it's past, present, or future. And sometimes the information just comes to me super clear. So I might say something to you in a reading like, oh, do you have something going on with your left ankle? Like, I feel like I can't walk on my foot, and it's swollen, and I'm in a lot of pain. And you might say, when I was 7, I fell off a horse and sprained my left ankle, and I was off it for 6 months. But I don't see the horse. I don't see the cast. I just get the information, but I can't sometimes put a timeline on it.
Would you like to give us an example of what you do with numerology? Because Bob in the SOR Space Travelers Club has brought forward his birthday.
Okay, and I'm guessing that Bob's real name is Robert. Is that correct?
Could be, but he has an amazing beard.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit to you about the difference between Robert and Bob. Do you want to send me his birthday, or can we say it on the air?
We can read it. It's January 1st, 1960.
Okay. And does he have a question?
No.
Okay.
Just what do you get off those dates, I guess?
Sure. Well, I'm getting a couple things because I get some information off the name Robert and some information regarding the name Bob. And I know he usually goes by the name Bob because I've heard that name in the chat room before. It's interesting to go from Robert to Bob, too, because I'm just going to start right there. So the name Robert is a 2, which would tell me that he likes to work as a team with people. And this 2 number is considered to be like fire element energy. So sometimes 2s can be feisty, resistant to change. They might think fast and work fast and talk fast and behave quickly, so that other people, not so that, but to a point where other people have a hard time keeping up with that person, people with the name Robert. And when you change Robert and go by the name Bob, it actually changes the whole personality, like entirely, to be empathetic, creative, artistic, helpful, healing, compassionate. But so the name Bob is a 6, which is an air number. And so very often someone with the name Bob will work with his hands in a creative way. So very often Bobs will work with woodworking, welding, mechanical kind of things. Except that when I look at his birthday, it gives me even more information. So January 1st, 1960, I basically add the numbers together. So January is a 1, and if someone was born in December, it would be a 3, for example. Like it's the 12th month, so 1 plus 2 is 3. So January 1st, 1960 is 117. And so that birthday would indicate to me highly intellectual, likes to be alone. And it's funny because when I was talking about Robert earlier, I said, likes to work as a team with people. But these water numbers, 1 and 7, indicate super independent, someone who loves to learn and loves to teach. Quite often someone with this birthday would be a supervisor, a leader, a teacher. They should be good with languages or communication, and that may or may not sometimes include math or accounting. Common jobs for somebody like this could be an engineer, a teacher, a scientist, an instructor, a leader. Do we know Bob? Do we know what he does for a living? Like, yes or no, Dave?
Bob is retired due to health issues, but he's formerly in radio. That's why
that would be the communication leader.
Exactly. Exactly. The voice of the introduction for Spaced Out Radio shows. Okay.
So that's communication and language for sure. But also it's creative. And when I add the numbers together, the 7 and the 1 and the 1 of the birthday, these numbers come to a 9, which is another air number. And it's like very helpful and healing to other people. So I'd say using the name Bob, this person would be really sensitive to the needs of others. And so they might put others far ahead of themselves to the point where their needs may not get met. And sometimes that will manifest in the body as illness. So it's interesting, off due to health reasons, right? So
absolutely.
And examples of that birthday without the name would be counselor, therapist, like somebody with communication that helps other people, nurse's aide, hospice worker, just somebody like with a generous spirit, a generous heart, who's very giving. Yeah, and so the lesson around that birthday would be that over time, Bob would come in to use his voice enough, advocating for other people, that eventually he advocates very clearly for himself, and he comes into his own voice in a soft, clear manner so that all his needs will be met so that he can create perfect health for himself.
All right, let's move on here. Lisa has a question. She is saying, my name when I was born was Elizabeth. Then my parents later changed it to Lisa. Would that have an impact on me numerologically?
Yes, absolutely. Is it the regular spelling of Elizabeth and the regular spelling of Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, and so I'm just adding up the numbers quickly here. So Elizabeth is a 2 and Lisa is a 1. So I would say the only 2 numbers in numerology that are almost completely opposite from one another are the 1 and the 2. So again, just like Robert went from fire to air by going from Robert to Bob, from a 2 to a 6, Elizabeth is a 2 and Lisa is a 1. So it would make her calmer, slower, more independent, have the ability to lead or teach. Like similar to what I was talking to that January 1st birthday. January 1st birthday would be very similar to Lisa, Lisa. Now, if the spelling's different, the numbers change. Some people go by Lisa, Leesa, or, some other different kind of spelling, right?
Well, that brings an interesting question, because over the last 15, 20 years, people have been taking regular names and trying to screw them up with as much alphabetization as they can. Okay?
It's so true.
How does that work with numerology? You just don't have normal names anymore.
Well, most names have a vowel, and numerology it's based on the Pythagorean theory, mathematics, and you would actually each name has a 3-digit number, but I'm just for the sake of explaining it quickly. For example, I'm calling the name Lisa a 1, but it's actually a 3-digit number. There's 81 different combinations of 3-digit numbers, and so sometimes people will seek out a numerologist or a name professional that can help them choose a weird spelling of a name so that the energy of the numbers of the new name of the baby will be congruent and be a good match for the birthday of the person. So oftentimes people that are really into numerology won't name their baby right away. They'll just be like baby girl for a while. And they may choose a really unique spelling. So I've started to compile lists of unique kind of names that match 3-digit codes in case I need to, help name someone or help someone who's got a certain birthday choose a name that is in alignment with their birthday already. Last November, I got a call from a couple here in the Lower Mainland. They had 2 baby names chosen for their son. He was born on November 10th, and these people called me on November 26th. And I got to name the baby pretty much based on, they gave me 2 names, and they said, like, which one's more balanced? So I did a 1-hour session for them, like in a Skype reading, and explained the differences between the 2 names. And so I got to name a baby last year. That was fun.
I don't know if I could do that. Judge a name off a psychic reading. I mean, that's just a little too far out there for me.
It's not for everybody, but for some people, like, your name is important. Like, if your name's Joe or your name is, like, Harrison Theodore, like, those names carry, like, really different energy, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about
if kids don't like their name, they end up going by, like, nicknames anyway, so.
So what do you get off my name, David William Scott?
Well, I've done a reading for you before, David William Scott, and you don't use the name David very often. You usually go by Dave.
No.
To go by the name David, it would make you stronger, more clear, more secure, more confident. Dave is more helpful, compassionate, healing, generous. The name Dave is much more emotional than the name David. So, for example, a lot of counselors use the name Dave, and a lot of teachers use the name David, or professors or librarians would use the name David.
A lot of people who vote Democrat go by David, just so you know.
Thanks for that.
Yes. We'll play it off of that. All right, let's get to Dennis's question here. He is asking, most people know me as Dennis, but close friends call me DJ. Does that make a difference? Nicknames, I guess, as everyone close to me calls me by my nickname rather than Dennis.
Okay, is the DJ like the letter D and the letter J?
D-E-J-A-Y.
D-E-J-A-Y. So 1 E, right?
Yes.
So DJ would be a 6, which would be similar to Dave, that harmonious, generous, compassionate. And the name Dennis is a 5, which is structured, balanced, political. They try to bring the right thing to other people. So very often people with the name Dennis, is it 2 N's, D-E-N-N-I-S?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's always good to ask because these days there's so many different spellings. But yeah, so that would be a 5, and that name would be somebody who might work in a law firm or an office doing administration, or in policing, human resources, science, laboratory. Like, it could be teacher, could be like an actual DJ, like on the air. And 6 would be more helping the other people, compassionate, more emotional. So if I had to say Dennis and give you a picture, I would say like a professor. And if I had to give you a picture of DJ with that spelling, I would say a hippie. Does that make sense for him?
I have no idea.
Do you know him? Okay.
I have no idea.
We can ask for feedback.
We'll get some feedback. Let's continue on with the questions here. Tessa is asking, when you do numerology, do you use your married or just your maiden name?
That's a really good question. I would do both. If I was going to do a long session for somebody and they wanted information about their name, or if they're engaged and they're thinking about changing to their husband's name or adding their husband's name onto their maiden name, yeah, because it absolutely changes the energy of the person. And I think this is why quite a lot of women who get divorced end up going back to their maiden name, because it was more balanced than their married name, if that makes sense. Like, my mom wasn't married very long to my father, and she kept my father's name her whole life. And my father's name was really successful for her. So she never changed it back to her maiden name. But yeah, it makes a huge difference. It's the energy by which someone refers to you.
See, in men's terms, we call that being a succubus.
It's true.
Leeching off of our last name. Leeching.
Yep, I understand.
I'm teasing. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not ever planning to change my name again. I changed my first name and my last name, so if I were to get married, I would just keep, Paisley Town as my name, because I can rock it. It works very well for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it rocks as well, and you do a very, very good job on the weekends. Let's continue on with our questions from the audience here. Let's go back to Dennis here. He says, I read palms once and only saw death, this time literally, and after a shock of about half a second, I steered towards a positive outlook. I mean, I steered everything towards a positive. I have no idea what happened to this person, so I'm not sure if I influenced anything. It was a distinct, and I will not state what that signature is because everyone will start looking at their palms. Let's just say I looked forward and saw possibilities, but little beyond the signature time. It actually shook him up, and it was hard to smile and continue. Have you ever had one of those moments?
Absolutely, for sure. I was doing a reading for a woman who all I knew was her first name when she came in. I didn't book the session with her. Someone else booked the session. She came in. She wanted a card reading, and her questions were about health. What's going on with her health? Was there any advice or information? And while I was doing the card reading for her, I got a lot of medical intuition in my body. At first, when that started happening to me, not in this reading, but when I was in training, learning to do this work, when I would get information in my body, I would kind of freak out because it was really uncomfortable, and it was such a strong, intense information that was coming through. I felt like I was getting sick until I learned about it more, and it started happening more in themes. Anyway, this woman came, asked me about her health, and even though I wasn't doing medical intuition, I was doing a card reading for her, I was getting really uncomfortable in my body. And it was revealed later at the end of the meeting that the woman had a terminal illness, and her question wasn't so much about health, more as like, how much time did I feel she had left? And so in the tarot deck, there's some like usual cards that come up, depending on certain questions. And so for her, the death card came up. And when the death card came up, usually death card would symbolize transition, change, like something new that's gonna start. Like it's like you're on your way from point A to point B, but there might be a detour, like some kind of change, and sometimes an uncomfortable change that ends up being for the best. So when the death card came up, I flipped it on the table and I looked at it, and I looked up at her, and she looked at me and looked down at the card, and both of us, knew it wasn't about change and transition so much as her transition, from being alive to the next step. So we didn't discuss the card too much. It was the first time that had ever happened to me because it was about death transition. And, we didn't discuss the card too much, but I do bring topics like that up when I teach my classes with other students because, how do you deal with like serious health issues and, terminal illness and, children that have just passed away? Like how do you deal with that? This isn't like, even though this can be just for entertainment and information that people come and they have questions and want information, it's also really serious too. Like it really hits close to home. So yeah, that's a hard one.
We only have about 2 minutes before we gotta go to break. How do you deal with that when you know that someone is right there? Someone is right on the brink of transitioning and they're not ready, or maybe they don't even see it in the cards for themselves. No pun intended.
How do I deal with it? I guess just with compassion and as much honesty as I can muster up, because it can sometimes be frightening or daunting or overwhelming. And even for me, like, because I do medical intuition when I do readings, because that information comes to me in the body, Sometimes it can be like very often I will burst into tears in a reading with tears pouring down, usually one side of my face, because one side means past, one side means present for me. I get emotional, and sometimes when the client sees me upset, they apologize to me, which is such a weird thing, because my empathy is for them. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry." I'm like, "No, it's good. Like, we have to emote. Our feelings have to come out. This is such a beautiful thing." There's not too many jobs that you can do where you make people cry and you get paid really well.
Paisley, I'm going to get you to hold on here for a couple of minutes here, because we are encroaching on our first break of the night. Numerologist Paisley Town is our guest tonight. We're going over all things numerology. She is going to take your questions throughout the show. Paisley's going to be here for the full 3 hours tonight, so we expect a lot of participation from you out there, just like you normally do, space travelers. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll talk to you on the other side.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Want a place to share your experiences without feeling judged? We have the place for you. If you've experienced sightings or contact with ETs, ghosts, cryptids, or UFOs, and you'd like someone to confidentially look into the matter, Just fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our goal is to help you get the answers you need to the experiences you've had with our professional team of researchers. Your information stays 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. Fill out your experience today only at spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, I will not be here. I will be having my horns up listening to Paradise City for Guns N' Roses in Vancouver, but nonetheless, our Keith Andrews will be in the chair along with Dave Cruz hosting it, as the ET Connection goes as planned live at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. So make sure you bring your questions for Keith. Dave will be running the board. I will be rocking out. So don't bug me. I got Paradise City to go to. There's not much that I will put forward or ahead of anything than Guns N' Roses. I'm that big of a fan. So, Dave Cruz, our Keith Andrews, tomorrow night, the ET Connection at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has showed up. He has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hyphen Animus. No. Hypenemus. Yeah, I guess that's it. Hypeneminous. No. Hypenemmius. Hypenemmius is your password for tonight. Hypenemmius. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. You can also use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio and connect with me live during the show as well. You can give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow me on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. Tune in, download, and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. We're also on TalkStream Live. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, watch some Contact TV or UFO Seekers videos, rock out to some Bumblefoot, read the Encounter online. Yes, we have a bunch of features for you at spacedoutradio.com. Coming in right now is Paisley Town. You probably recognize her from our psychic shows that we do every second Sunday on this network with Elizabeth Anglin. Paisley's website, paisleytown.com. Paisley, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right.
Since you're talking about Guns N' Roses,
yes.
I just wanted to tell a funny story about celebrities.
Sure.
So some of my friends think it's really funny how I ask people what their name is and how do you spell your name, and I'm adding up their birthday numbers everywhere I go. It's just kind of like an obsession for me a little bit. So we were at a party, and some friends of mine said, well, do you think you could guess, somebody's birthday? And I said, well, I can't guess the day that they're born, but I can tell you, what elements of numbers they have. So, for example, fire numbers are 2, 4, and 8. Air numbers are 3, 6, and 9. And water is 1, 5, or 7. And they all carry different energy. Different personality types, and depending on where they fall, like the month, the day, the year, the name, how many air numbers there are makes a difference. And so they said, okay, we're going to look up some celebrities on Wikipedia and figure out their birthday. We're not going to tell you their birthday. We're going to just tell you the celebrities' names, and we want you to guess like what elements they are. So, they pull up somebody like Mike Tyson, and I say, oh, for sure he's going to be fire and air, with no water numbers. And so I, tell him what numbers will be in his birthday, and lo and behold, he's true to form. So we did it for, I don't know, about 10 or 15 names. They were laughing at me, but I got them all correct. It's pretty amazing how numerology seems to fit personalities. Even if the celebrities' names were not their, the names they were born with, then they could be like the name they go by to, to be in a band or to be on a TV show. So, it's pretty fun. It's a good party trick.
Don't be insulting anybody on Guns N' Roses right now, because I will be rocking out. Yes.
I know.
We don't want to make this a quick interview where I have to go the entire distance on my own now. Can't do that.
I had a date set up for tomorrow night, Dave, and the gentleman phoned me and he said, "Listen, I hate to bail out on you, but my friend got me Guns N' Roses tickets."
Absolutely,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "I would have bailed on you too."
You know what's funny? It's not very funny. My daughter, we bought tickets for the entire family at Christmas time. And my daughter went to her dry grad, and they had one of those mechanical bulls. Well, when it bucked her off, she happened to land on the only place there was no padding. And now her back is screwed up and it's seized up, and she was in the doctor's office today, and she's like, well, can I still go to Guns N' Roses tomorrow night? And the doctor's like, no, you need to stay home and stay off your feet. So as of this afternoon, I had 2 extra tickets, which I have since sold. But if I didn't have them, you were on my list.
Oh, good. Thanks, Dave.
I know. I got a call back, and I'm getting my full money for them. You know what? I was literally going to, if it came down to it, I was literally going to make someone's year and just give them out to someone. And just say, here, pay it forward kind of thing.
That's the way to go. Two years ago in June, Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, did come to Vancouver, and she did an evening out at Thunderbird Stadium out at UBC. And I was having a conversation with one of my friends about her coming, and I think the tickets were around $300 or something. And she said, "Oh, I'd really like to get tickets." I said, "Well, you just have to, if you really want to go, you just have to manifest them. You just have to think about it and believe that you're going to go." So the next day my phone rang, and a friend had a free ticket to bring me with her, and I went. So I called my friend, and I told her the story, how I was going to go see Teresa Caputo, and her and I share the same birthday. We're both June 10th. We're born in different years, but similar birthday pattern type. And so my friend was really pissed off at me, and I said, you have to stay positive. How do you know your phone's not going to ring and you're not going to get a free ticket? And within 48 hours, her cousin from Kelowna phoned her. They said, "Listen, 6 of us are coming to Vancouver to see Teresa Caputo. Now one lady can't go." So, you just never know what's going to happen. It's nice to get free tickets sometimes.
Yes, and all our Edmonton listeners are scowling at the fact that their Edmonton Eskimos arrived for practice while Guns N' Roses was setting up, and they tossed the ball around for a while before security got a hold of them and kicked the professional football team out. That is funny. That's called priority. Because I'm a BC Lions fan anyways. It's priority, man. It's priority. GNR is more important than the Eskimos. I'm going to tell you that right now. Anyhow, let's get to a question from Wyatt in the SOR Space Travelers Club. He's saying, "I'm wondering if you might be feeling anything new my way. I had a person tell me I was on a healer's path, and they didn't elaborate whether it was herbal healing or psychic or what. But they also told me that the teacher was on their way. There is the teacher thing again. What do you think?"
Oh, well, Wyatt's a usual regular listener, fan of your show on the weekend, and so he's called in a couple times for readings. And actually, he didn't call in. He sent his message in one of the chat rooms, so I didn't get to hear his voice. I just added his numbers together, and I started telling him information. And, yeah, the last time I gave Wyatt information, I told him now that he's ready to learn that there's going to be someone that will present themselves as his teacher. Absolutely. Like, that's very clear to me. The issue with sometimes receiving information is Spirit doesn't always give me a clear definition of when something's going to happen. Like I was talking about that timeline earlier. Sometimes I get it, but I can't see if it's past or present or future. And occasionally Spirit does give me like a number or a piece of information that's very, very specific, like within the next 3 months or within the next 3 weeks. Most people who do that kind of specific detailed information would be people that are mediums, that are getting the information from your ancestors or from your spirit guides. But yeah, with what I do, I just get that it's coming. So I know sometimes Wyatt can be impatient because he really loves to be challenged by things. So if the teacher hasn't presented himself or herself yet, just hang in there. The teacher's coming, Wyatt. I can tell you for sure. It's really clear to me, and I wish I could tell you when, but that information isn't here right now.
Let's move on here. Robin is asking, Paisley, does a person's numerology change every year or on certain months?
I have only taken courses that through one master teacher. He's a gentleman who, when I met him, he had been teaching numerology for 44 years, and he had changed his name from numerology. A local gentleman and an author of several books. His name is Klein Konings. I believe I have his name listed up on my website. And he's written a couple books. So I think had I taken more and more and more numerology courses, like it's kind of like astrology. Like you could read your horoscopes and say, oh, I'm really familiar with what's going on with Aries this month, and where somebody's planets are, this and that. I don't study astrology, by the way. And the more you learn, the more there is to learn. So I just feel like I have a little bit of numerology knowledge. I don't claim to be like a numerology expert or anything like that. And there's different schools of thought to do with numerology. Like some numerologists don't have anything to do with like the elements of the numbers, but this is how my teacher taught me. And so it just makes sense to me. And when I blend the numbers with the person's personality, it's pretty accurate and pretty amazing to me. So I hope that answers your question.
Very cool. Let's get to Ron's question. He says, my initials are RAM, and that's why my life is like a cat's ass on a hot tin roof.
We have to say cat's butt on the air, don't we, Dave?
Ass is allowed. It's certain F words that they don't really like.
Okay, we won't talk about fudge. So initials aren't for numerology. If the person's name was Ram or their last name was Ram something, like a hyphenated name, for initials, numerology really doesn't come into play that much. And I'll just give you an example. Like I have, like earlier we were talking to Dennis, going by the name DJ. And if it was like the letter D and the letter J, that isn't something that can be read with numerology because there's no vowels in it. So it's more like a nickname. It's not really a name. Yeah, so if we're doing someone's initials, I don't have any experience with doing that. It doesn't make sense to me as a name unless people call him by that name.
I don't think they do.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So if somebody comes to me and their name's Charlene Jane and they go by CJ, when I'm doing their reading, even though they use the name CJ, in the numerology reading, I read Charlene Jane.
Got you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to names, does it matter how many letters? I'm trying to figure this out. Does it matter how many letters are in each name? So, for instance, with mine, David is 5 letters, William is 7 letters, Scott is 5 letters. It's almost like haiku in a way, but, is that
it's
how it works?
Question. No. So basically numerology, like it'd be hard to teach you, just to suddenly be like reading, like saying, oh, your name's Jane, you're 6. I do numerology so often that I'm familiar with that. But basically the way that you figure out a person's name is you would take the vowels and add them up first. And that's the main, so in the name David, when I add all the vowels together, it comes to 1. And the reason is because the letter A is a 1 and the letter I is a 9. So numerology consists of numbers 1 through 9. So if somebody's born on the 10th day, you would add those 2 numbers together, the 1 and the 0. So a 10 birthday is, so June 10th is just very similar to June 1st. So if you write down on a piece of paper numbers 1 through 9 across the top of the page, and then write the alphabet across the page. So 1, 2, 3 would be A, B, C, and so on. And then when you get to 9, you start on the next line and continue writing the alphabet. So under the 1, you'll find A, J, and S if you do that format that I'm just speaking of. So to come up with the name David, the D is under the 4, and so on. So you would use the vowels to come up with the first number of the numerology of David, and then use the consonants to come up with the second number of David, and then you add the first number of David and the second number of David together to come up with the third number of David. Does that kind of make sense?
Excellent. Excellent. We got a great question from a good buddy of mine out of Ontario, Terry. I call him Terrence. He says, I'm curious about the number 23. I was born at 12/23, October 23rd, 1985. 1985 adds up to 23, so 23, 23, 23. It's obviously an iconic number. They made a movie about it. Wondering why it has such significance.
Okay, so 1985 doesn't add up numerology to 23. Like the 1 plus the 9 would add up to 9 plus 1 is 10, and 10 adds up to 1. And 85 is 85 is 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. So actually, the 1223, as far as numerology goes, what time someone's born doesn't have that much impact. It's more for astrology purposes of where the planets were at the time of the birth. And so when I add this birthday together, so October's 1, 23, the 23rd day is 5, and 1985 is 5. So this person is a 2 birthday. So their birthday is 155, not 12323. And so this would be a person that, shall I do a little reading for this person, Dave?
Well, yeah, Terry, when I do have to tell you something about him. He's not very good at coaching or playing online hockey. I can tell you that. Beat him numerous times. So I do have to get that shot in because, well, I hold the microphone, right? Go ahead. You could give Terry a reading.
Okay, so, and is it Terrence, like Terrence?
No, I just call him Terrence. I think his name is Terry.
Okay, so the name Terry, Terry, is a 5. Being born on the 23rd is a 5. And being born in 1985 adds up to 5. And being born in October is 1. So all those numbers are water numbers. But when I add the birthday together, it's a 2, which is a fire number. And so perhaps because you know Terry, maybe you'll be able to answer this question for me, Dave. Does Terry have any challenges around decision-making?
I don't think so. He's a pretty concise guy.
Okay. Yeah, because people with water numbers are very concise, accurate, logical, knowledgeable, resourceful. They like to look up things and have facts and like they're sometimes like history buffs or scientists, that kind of thing. But when you have all these water numbers blended with the 2, I would say like this is sometimes a person, if they're imbalanced a little bit, they might have some challenges around being able to make a clear decision about things because they think they know the right decision, and making the right decision would be really, really important to Terry. But also there's a little bit of doubt sometimes that could creep in if the person has some imbalance in their life. And when I talk about imbalance, what I mean by that is, if everything in your life is going really well, then your positive traits are going to shine through more. And let's say if you had a health issue and everything else in your life was okay, the health issue will create an imbalance in your life because you'll be putting your energy, thinking about your health or going to medical professionals about your health, or you might spend quite a lot of money to get your health looked at. So it creates imbalance in one's life when there's a certain area that just needs some attention. And of course, we're not perfect. We're human. So we're always like striving for balance. But I would say, especially for Terry, balance and structure and clarity and communication, and particularly like out of all those things, the most important could be safety for him. Safety would be really important. And maybe politics.
Well, he is political. He is political. He does have, he's from Ontario. He's a Maple Leafs fan. There isn't nothing, I can't even, I'm trying to defend the guy here, but he's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and we're getting close to hockey season, and they haven't won a Stanley Cup in 50 years, going on 51 years. And you know what? you just got to let it go, Terry. That's what Paisley's telling you. And Bill, you're in the same case. And Canadian Joe on Twitter and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you're in the same story there. Just absolutely, it's time to get off the bandwagon. It's not going to happen. We're going for 100. That's the only thing that's going to excite me, is the Leafs hitting 100 years without a Stanley Cup. There you go. There you go. Actually, Terry was very impressed with what you said and how you read him.
Oh, great. Thank you, Terry.
He's giving you a
It's
golf...
nice to get feedback.
He's actually giving you a golf clap right now.
Oh, nice. Yay.
Yes.
I have a feeling Terry might not be his name for some reason. I don't know why I was feeling that, but
All right.
it could be Terrence.
And here come all the Maple Leafs with their pictures and everything like that on Twitter and the chat rooms. I don't know what's more sickening, seeing the Gnomes or seeing the Maple Leafs jerseys all over the place. It's terrible.
Are you an Edmonton fan, Dave?
I am an Edmonton Oilers fan since 1979. My number 2 team is the Vancouver Canucks. Because, well, I mean, I was a sports journalist, so I got to cover the Canucks, and I just learned to fall in love with them. You know, but my heart and soul are with the Edmonton Oilers. Always have been, always will be. You know.
Did I ever tell you my hockey story about the Canucks?
No.
Oh, so there used to be a DJ here in Vancouver, and his name was Buzz Bishop. I think he's
I know
in Alberta
Buzz.
now. And he worked here with Virgin Radio, and I got a request to take the curse off the Canucks because they're sucking really bad. That was the email. So I got in touch with him, and I said, listen, I don't believe in, like, curses and all that kind of stuff. I just don't give any power to it. I believe in working with the light, and I'm a credible psychic, so I don't consider this all voodoo and hocus pocus. I want to be taken seriously because this is what I do for a living. So he invited me to come down to GM Place. I drove down there just after lunch one day, and this was in February of 2009. I think it might have been February 3rd. I'm not exactly, can't remember, but it might be online. You can look up the hockey game. The Canucks were losing and losing and losing, and they were not going to the playoffs. So Buzz Bishop and Kaljeet Caleb got together, and when I got down there, there was some TV crews, and there was a grade school class from Surrey that had just did a tour of GM Place, and we were outside in the parking lot. And so I set up my table, brought my sage and my sweetgrass and my abalone shell and my crystals and my tablecloth in the middle of this gravel parking lot thing. And I told them that I would do a blessing for the Canucks instead of taking off a curse because I didn't believe in the curse. So I did a blessing, and the school kids all gathered around the table and Go Canucks Go chant. And I said, as long as you promote me as being a credible psychic, I'm willing to come downtown and do this today. So when it was over, Buzz Bishop asked me, like, where are you sitting tonight? And I was like, I beg your pardon? He's like, for the game, where are you sitting? I said, oh my gosh. I said, I've never been to a hockey game in my life, ever. And he said, really? He said, you came down and blessed the hockey team and you've never been to a hockey game? He said, oh, you have to go to the game because you have to make them win. So he whipped out his wallet. He said, these are not tickets from the station. These are crummy seats up in the nosebleeds. Here's 2 tickets for tonight's game. And I was at the game, and it was only a few minutes left in the game, and it was tied 3-3. And I was just sweating. I think they were playing Colorado, and the Canucks won that game with just a couple minutes left in the game, and they went on to win 22 out of the next 25 games. So they made it right into the second round of the playoffs that year. So I was pretty happy about that. It was fun.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to brag. I went to like 486 games in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was tough. I'm not going to lie. It was tough. Hated every moment of it. Hated it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. No,
I was surprised, like, from where we were sitting in the nosebleed seats, like, you could see really, like, the whole arena. Like, it was a great seat. To me, it was a great seat. I can't imagine sitting near the glass.
No, I was sitting up in the press box, so literally right above the the ice. So that was kind of
beautiful, cool. Beautiful.
Yeah, I saw some cool moments there. Cool moments, some scary moments. Told up one of the Canucks players back in 2006 that he had been traded before the team had told him he had been traded. That was interesting. Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that. He wasn't too happy about that. No, he wasn't. But it was a good experience nonetheless. All right, enough hockey talk here, because otherwise I'll be going all night. Thanks, Terrence, for your question. I got some other questions here from the audience. And no, it's not about the Maple Leafs, because,
Okay, good.
Because I don't think any psychic could predict the next time they're going to win the Stanley Cup. They have it in 50 years. Have it in 50 years, people. So we're going to see that drought continue.
You, Dave.
No, let the drought continue. Let the drought continue. Let's get to Gloria's question. She wants to know what you get out of her name. Are you ready?
Okay.
Gloria Guadalupe Vega Harms Julian Roberts.
Okay, so I know we're not supposed to talk about hockey, but I need to bring it up one more time.
Okay.
So when I'm doing a reading, normally, so we call her Gloria.
Yes.
And that's how she's known to us.
Yes.
If somebody said, "Oh, Gloria from the chat room," we'd know which Gloria we're talking about because she's in the chat room and she's a SOAR listener, Spaced Out Radio listener. So if somebody somebody named Bobby Orr was coming for a reading, or Wayne Gretzky, I would read their last name as their name. I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm doing I'm going to do a reading for that hockey guy named Wayne." People would be, who? But if I said I'm doing a reading for Gretzky, we would use his last name because that's how he's known. So even though Gloria has, several names, she doesn't say, "Hi, my name is blah-blah-blah, blah." She doesn't introduce herself that way to people. She says, "Hi, I'm Gloria." So the numerology would be for Gloria.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Well, can we read that?
And it's Gloria, Gloria.
Gloria, yes.
Perfect. So that's a 7. So that's someone who's structured, knowledgeable. They like to have all the facts. Sometimes, depending on if the person is balanced or not, and I don't know Gloria, so I just have no idea. But if the person has a lot of imbalance, sometimes people with this name could suffer a little bit from issues around ego. And if the person is very balanced, or sometimes if someone's imbalanced the other way, they may suffer from issues around insecurity, so lack of ego. So that's actually a tricky name as far as balance goes, to have a balanced ego, because there's a lot of people running around that are egomaniacs with an insecurity complex. So it's hard to tell from somebody's name if they're a balanced person or not, because it could go either way. But usually they make excellent leaders, excellent teachers. They have a lifelong desire to learn. They normally, depending on their birthday, but normally they spend quite a bit of time alone. They can almost be perceived as kind of hermiting a little bit. Yeah. And usually excellent communicators, good with numbers, good with accounting, good with math, good with languages, good with sign language, good with reading Braille, any kind of language.
This next one comes from Ron, and I am not asking this. He is asking this. He's wondering, Paisley, can you decipher anything from the name Spaced Out Radio?
Can I decipher anything from the name? That's a good question, Ron. I'm just adding up the numbers as I'm talking here. So, did you consult anybody before you chose this name, Dave?
No, it just kind of popped into my head. Well, actually, yes. Johnny Enoch. Do you know Johnny in Vancouver?
No.
Well, he's the one who got me started on this show. And when we were bouncing around names, I said, Spaced Out Radio came to me, and he's like, man, I love it. He goes, run with it. I said, okay, that's what we're going to do.
So the word spaced is a 6. It's an air number. The word out is a 9, which is an air number. The word radio is a 7. So it's like being of service to others based on clear communication. So resourcing information for other people with the aim to help others. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Well, you know what? I didn't hear anything about the wallet in there. Didn't hear anything about the wallet. Damn it. Damn it. I'm not going to win. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, let's move on. Thank you. Let's get to Paula. She is wondering if you could read. And weird, because you just brought up Gretzky. And Wayne Gretzky is January 26, 1961. And Paula is January 26, 1955.
Oh. So it is going to be a hockey night after all in Canada here.
I guess so. It's funny. I can barely remember our first prime minister, but I sure as hell know Wayne Gretzky's birthday.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the name Paula, is it Paula?
Yes.
Okay, so the name Paula is a 5, someone who's concerned about balance and structure. And I know it sounds like I'm being repetitive, but I mean, there's only 9 numbers, so there's only 9, kind of personality types here. January is a 1, very structured again, like the name Paula. 26, when you add it together, is an 8. So this would be like feisty personality. 1955 is a 2, which would be like teamwork, working together. I want to ask Paula, does she ever get speeding tickets?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is she in the chat room?
No, she's in the SOR Space Travelers Club, so I'm not going to get that
perfect.
for about a minute or two.
Oh, that's okay. Sometimes people with this number have a lot of worry, pressure, and doubt about money, but it's being born on the 26th day of any of the months, like from January to December, doesn't matter, but people born on the 26th, it's an 8, and it's the most abundant of all the numbers. So if the person is able to be, balanced and healthy and doing what they love to do and that kind of thing, they should have no worries about money, because money should come easily to them. But not just money. Like when I talk about abundance, a lot of people think cash. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind. But it could be financial abundance. It could be friendships. So someone with this birthday would have friendships that are long-lasting and very, very committed friendships, with other people. They might know a lot of people, like have a lot of friends, but their close friends are like blood. They're like closer than family to them quite often. Sometimes they can get derailed by excitement. So they might be sometimes the one that's too loud at the party, or they stay at the party, they come early at the party and leave late because they don't want to miss anything. Like they really like to have fun and have a good sense of humor. Good with teamwork. Yeah. Hopefully that helps, but we'll find out about the speeding tickets because
she did respond no.
Okay. Well, quite often I say to people like, you're an 8, do you get speeding tickets? And they say no, because I don't get caught. So I always find that a funny answer. And I don't have any fire numbers in my birthday in my name. And one of the things, and I don't know why I do this, but one of the things I try to always do is I try and go the speed limit. So people joke with me all the time. I'll say, how long does it take to get there? And they say, well, if you're driving, it's going to take this much time, but I can get there sooner. Kind of a standing joke. Yeah, fire people like to go fast. They like to, like the IKEA commercial, start the car,
right.
Like let's get going. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Let's move on here. Let's get to Tessa's question here. She says, can you do a numerology read for me, please? Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson, November 26th, 1978. Nickname Tess.
Okay. And, so nickname Tess, name Tessa. I'm just going to do the first name because we would introduce ourselves by either Tess or Tessa. So Tess would be a 5, and Tessa would be a 6. And is she in our chat room tonight, Dave?
She is in the Spreaker chat room, yes.
Okay, perfect. Because I would love to first ask her if... hold on, I'm just adding the numbers together here. Oh, wow. So we've got 2 of the 8s, which I just described a minute ago with that birthday you gave me, and a 2. She should sometimes be indecisive about decisions that have to do with herself personally. So she could make decisions quickly and easily for other people, but when it comes to herself, sometimes she might not be sure because doubt will set in. So quite often people with this many fire numbers will worry about things and second guess themselves unless they're avid workout people, like if they do team sports or cardio or a lot of physical activity like dragon boating or running or going to the gym all the time. But sometimes somebody with Tessa's birthday can present as having a little bit of a temper. So maybe we can ask her that and find out if that's a good fit.
Well, let's find out. Yeah. Tessa, do you have a temper? Fill us in here. Do you have a temper? You know what? I pick up on her having a temper too.
Really?
Not a temper tantrum, just a temper. Yes, she does. She confirms it. Yes, Tessa has a temper.
Yep. It happens because she's got 2 8s and a 2, so it's,
See, and I can just read that off her picture.
Well, sometimes when I do psychometry days, people do bring me like keys and jewelry to read, to hold on to. Mm-hmm. But one of the other interesting things that I do with psychometry is people will come to me with a sealed envelope. Now, I don't know if the envelope is empty or if it's got a photograph or if it's got like a magazine article in it. Like I have no idea what's in the envelope or not in the envelope. And so when people find out that I can read photos, they think it's like Antiques Roadshow where like I stare at the photo and look at the photo. I read the photos using my hands. So I keep it inside the sealed envelope and do the reading. And I get a lot of information from that. One thing that's really confusing to, screw up a psychic would be to bring a photo with like 8 people in it. That's really challenging for me to read. So I tell people, if you're going to bring me a photo and you want a reading about whomever, bring me a photo of them or bring me a photo of you. Or bring me a photo with 1 or 2 people in it, not Grandpa Joe and the Waltons. It's just too confusing because I get too much information.
Twice you've mentioned the Waltons. Haven't heard that name in 32 years, and it's twice tonight. All right.
Uh-oh, I'm dating myself. Okay, sorry.
All right. You don't look a day over 34.
Perfect.
Exactly. All right. Much like I am a giant Guns N' Roses fan, Teresa in our chat room is a giant Justin Bieber fan. She's curious what you get off of his birthday, which is March 1st, 1994.
Okay, March 1st, 1994. And how do you spell Bieber? Is it B-E-I-B-E-R?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to do both names in this case. Let me do Bieber and see how that works out and see if it's accurate. And I don't know too much about this person, so. Okay, so based on the birthday, it could be someone who does public speaking, writing, journaling, acting. This would be somebody who has a very sensitive side, so they would get their feelings hurt easily. They'd be very, if you phoned them, they might be upset. And if you didn't phone them, they might be upset. Just a really sensitive soul. And I don't know if that's true for him or not, because I don't know this person very. I know it's a musician, but I don't know too much about Justin Bieber.
We know he's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Yeah, that should tell you a lot right there.
He has the ability to be able to help and heal people, but he may have some issues around ego, like entitlement. Listen to me. I said it, so it's gospel. Like without, research to back it up, because really super sensitive. And and do we know, is this his legal, is this his birth name? Or is this a name that...
I have no idea.
We don't know.
I have no idea. Let me look and see what she's saying here. Yes, okay, it's true what you're saying.
And yeah, I just don't listen to this kind of music. It's not my thing. But.
No. I prefer manly music. You need a lot of facial hair in order to enjoy it. You got horns to stick up in the air.
This birthday may present as being an emotional soul, like talking more about like feelings more than like concepts or ideas. They may later in life become more political about themes that are important to them, and later in life, in their 60s, may stand up for other people quite, be an advocate for others, very seriously. So, for example, if this person wrote his own music, which I don't know if he does or not, but if he did, he would write about feelings and emotions and that, like nurturing, helping, healing. It'd be compassionate rather than, I have this and I have that. It'd be more on a feelings kind of communication style.
All right.
That's all I got.
Let's move on here. John is asking, what is the numerology for my date of birth? October 17th, 1986.
Okay. And is it John, John?
Yes, but I'm not sure if that's John's real name or not. It might just be a pseudonym for the chat room.
Okay. Let's ask him while I'm doing his birthday. Let's ask John what his real name is.
John, what's your real name?
Okay, so October is a 1, which is water. 1987, when I add it together, is a 7. When I add his birthday together, it's a 7. So it's got, water, water, water. And then born on the 17th, again, is that famous 8 that could skip steps, take things too fast. Sometimes people with the fire numbers, the 2, the 4, and the 8, they will think that they have more time. So they may have issues around time management. Now, interestingly enough, 8s that are balanced will arrive to events early because they hated being late when they were younger. So they were always late. Or some 8s just are always late for their whole life. They don't ever sort of come to manage the time. They think they have more time than they have, so they cram more activities into their day, and then when they get delayed with the 2nd and 3rd and 4th, it's just roller coasters, and then, they miss the first 3 songs of Guns N' Roses because they plan too much for their day, kind of thing.
Nobody should do that. That should be a sin.
Exactly. Well, if you go to the ballet and you're late, you sit in the hallway till halftime. You don't get to go into the theater if you're 2 minutes late. So yeah. 8s usually have issues around time management.
Our resident preacher, Eric, wants to know what you get off of his birth date, May 4th, 1963.
I've done readings for this gentleman before.
Oh, of course. He's the preacher.
I was just going to say, should we do the name Eric or should we do the name Preacher?
Let's do Preacher as his nickname.
Okay, sure. Just for fun, because we've done Eric before. Oh, okay. So Eric is a 5, which is water, which is scientific, finding the balance, right and wrong, structure. Very often scientific. It's scientific and / intuitive. And to go by the name Preacher, you change his personality so that he's a little bit of a troublemaker and he might be a little bit sarcastic as preacher. He might be more funny as preacher.
Oh no, not the preacher. Not the preacher.
Okay, so 7, 8. Yeah, he gets along with every personality type that there is, unless people betray him. So he can be fun and he can be serious. He can be quiet and he can be chatty. He can be, he's got a lot of, water and fire are elements that fight each other. So sometimes he may be in conflict with himself, but there's not any, like he could talk to a homeless person or someone from Mensa, equally well. He fits in everywhere. So sometimes people that get along with everybody, and people with this birthday often can do any kind of work. So for example, if they said, I want to work at NASA when I grow up, if they take the right steps, they will work at NASA. Like they can do any kind of job or career or anything they really want to set their mind to, because they have the creative ability to make things happen. They have the ability to plan and take things slow and make lists and document things so that they can take every step possible to move themselves forward. Plus, they have quite often the motivation to do the work to get to where they need to be. Sometimes people with this birthday, if we go by the name preacher for March 4th, sometimes Eric might not have the motivation he needs to get the job done. So he might say, I'm going to, write a whole bunch of articles for this magazine. And then, the deadline's fast approaching and he's cramming because the motivation wasn't there for him to get things done. Or it could be also due to the time management issue that I was speaking about earlier. Does that make sense, Dave?
Sure.
Are you just agreeing with me, or does it make sense?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah, you just sound so smart and amazing with this that I'm just having trouble, comprehending right now.
Oh, you're so funny.
Dawn has a question. She is asking, if reading a name will give you 3 numbers, what do those numbers represent?
That is a good question. Well, like I was talking about earlier, there's 81 different name combinations. And so I'm just going to see if I can give you an example. Nope, that's not a good example. So, for example, if somebody's number combination ended in a 1, then they may have some challenges supporting themselves because 1 is a very independent number. But if somebody's 3-digit number ends in an 8, they may have a lot more motivation to get things done that need to be done, to push themselves forward, or to motivate other people, to delegate to other people and motivate other people to get things done for them, if that makes sense.
All right, let's shift over to Twitter here. And Barrett at hashtag Spaced Out Radio is saying, well, he's showing a picture of himself. That's quality hair and a beard there. That's really stacking up high, Barrett, in the realm of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for sharing the pic. That is a great beard, not going to lie. Very Santa Claus-ish. And the hair, I'm jealous. Anyhow, he is saying with his name is a 7, 3, and 5, and wondering what you get off of Barrett.
Like 735 being his first name?
I guess so. I don't understand this numerology stuff. That's why I took journalism. Okay. Journalism.
5, 6. No, that wouldn't be it because the name Barrett is 6 something. So if the name is definitely a 735 name, that would be someone who takes care of other people. They're resourceful. They like to plan things. Like, for example, if 735 was going on a trip, they'd want to know, like, when are we going? Who is going to be there? Where are we staying? What are we going to eat? What should we pack? Like, pretty methodical in like the planning of things. Mm-hmm. Helpful to other people. Sometimes artist, musician. Healer, teacher, leader, independent. Sometimes the downfall to 735 would be someone who's too generous. And I'll just give you an example of a person that most of us would know. Like Princess Diana, she helped other people, and sometimes she didn't help herself. So
today is the anniversary of her death.
I didn't realize that, but I'm a big Princess Diana fan.
Yes, when was it? 97? Yeah, 96, 97?
Wow.
Wow.
Seems like she was just here.
Yes. She was a candle in the wind.
Yes.
Yes, she was.
Like our Marilyn, right?
Yeah, kind of. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Gone too soon, for sure.
Yes. Now you're going to get us into the whole conspiracy aspect of that. You're going to make me reach over
no,
and
I'm
get
not.
You're going to make me reach over and grab my tinfoil hat. I can see that happening right now. No.
Dave, I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a psychometry reading?
No.
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 Well, if you're going to be in concrete, there's a chance.
Are you going to the Paracon in concrete?
I'm going to Washington to the Paracon for sure.
Good. I will be there. I'm speaking. Paisley, I got to put you on hold here, my dear, because we are going to go to our final commercial break. Yes, don't forget, 23 days until we have the Forest Moon Paracon. I will be there speaking. Eric Markham will be there. The preacher will be speaking on science and the paranormal. Concrete, Washington, September 23rd. It's going to be a good time. We got one more hour left with Paisley Town on Spaced Out Radio, talking numerology, asking your questions, your comments, and we'll see where it goes, especially for your Leaf fans out there. 51 years and counting after this season, and it hasn't even started yet. That's how confident I am. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after our final break of the night.
We're getting strange on Saturday nights. Hi there, this is Dave Cruz, and each Saturday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I will take you on a tour of the weird and obtuse on Spaced Out Saturdays, from aliens to Sasquatch and every tinfoil hat in between. We got you covered. Join us at spacedoutradio.com for Spaced Out Saturdays. See you there.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories. From alien encounters to the latest conspiracies, you won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. And on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Tomorrow night on the program, our Keith Andrews is back for the first day of the month, the first Friday of the month. Yes, September 1st, tomorrow already. Well, today for some of you. But Keith will be back. Dave Cruz will be in the hot seat tomorrow night as I will be attending Guns N' Roses in Vancouver. Yes, I will be rocking to Paradise City. My favorite song of all time, My Seats Are Too High. I will not be getting the whistle this time. Oh, but next time, I will get that whistle. The last item on my bucket list. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, the ET Connection gets going at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us. We are live as well on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hyponemius. Hyponemius is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you could do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to connect with me live during the show. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can find me on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. Tune in, subscribe, and download our shows from iTunes. We're also on TalkStream Live. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can join the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read The Encounter online. Or check out UFO Seekers or Contact TV. Really good programming. And we have everything and more at spacedoutradio.com. Paisley Town is our guest. We've been doing numerology all night. She's going the distance tonight because, well, that's just the kind of lady she is. Paisley, welcome back.
Thank you.
I should remind our listeners, paisleytown.com is your website.
It's true.
It is. It is true. Let's continue.
Nothing to do with the town of Paisley, though, Dave.
No, absolutely not. Or the Toronto Maple Leafs, who we've been slagging all night because it's getting closer to hockey season. Let's get to Ron's question. Ronald, remember he said Ram earlier? Well, his name is Ronald Allen Moniuk. His birthday is, well, it's another hockey birthday. His birthday is August 7th, 1966. Now, Sidney Crosby is August 7th, 1987. Hence the reason why he wears the number 87, 8787.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of 8787, the name Ronald is 7. August is an 8, 7th day, so you've got 787 right there. And 66 is 4. I would say, now, you probably know Ronald because he's a listener that is in the chat room quite often. I've only chatted with him a couple of times, but things with him should be black and white. So he may possess some aspects of like being stubborn or being right about things. And you can verify yes or no, Dave, because I don't know Ronald.
Well, I know he lives in Saskatchewan, so he's probably waving right now to see if we could see him.
I hope so. Yeah, so I'm just adding the birthday numbers together. Yeah, all fire and water, fire and water, fire and water. Got a couple of 8s, a couple of 7s, and a 4. So, yeah, he should be like black and white in his thinking. So sometimes if you wanted to encourage Ronald to change his mind, the best way to do that would be to make it be his idea. That's the nicest way I can say that. Yeah. Do you know Ronald, Dave? Like, have you talked to him?
I have talked to him before. He's a very good guy, very, very caring and very passionate type of guy.
Mm-hmm. And he should like to bring up research facts, like bring research or bring history or bring proof to the table, like kind of, I'd say, like evidential.
Right.
He was a firefighter. Serious. Oh, okay. I was going to say he could be super serious or super fun. You know, either which way. He doesn't like to miss out on the action. Like the 8 and the 4 would be like not wanting to miss anything.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Dennis is asking, does numerology work for corporate names as well?
Yes. A lot of companies will base their names on numerology, for sure.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, I've named some companies. I don't know, like corporate companies. I've named some restaurants in Ontario. I've helped people choose their business name for their, small business where, there's 5 or less people working with them. And a while back, on a Sunday night show, there was a restaurant that was failing badly. And I said, well, what's the name of the restaurant? And I did the numbers and I was like, ooh, that's not a great name for a restaurant. And it was a restaurant that was about to go out of business. So, yeah, it carries a lot of weight for sure.
And what happened there? Was the restaurant saved due to numerology?
No, I don't think they changed their name. I think they went out of business, or they were just doing really poorly, poor business. I'm trying to think of what maybe Mr. Preacher can tell us what the name of that is if he's still in our chat room. I can't remember. It was a very odd, it was a powerful name that was misspelled and used as the name of a restaurant.
Yes.
It was a crazy name. It's not coming to my mind right this minute, but if I think of it, I'll let you know.
Tracy is asking, if you're born on the 11th or 22nd, do you add the numbers together or not?
Well, there's different thoughts to this. The way that these are 11 and 22 are considered to be master numbers, which are carry, I would say, from what I've read about them, they carry like a lot of power, a lot of energy. And so just for an example, 1 plus 1 is 2. So for me, I would add it together. And 22nd would be 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 and 4 and 8, in the way that I was taught by my teacher, are all fire numbers. So 11 is a fire number and 22 is a fire number if I were to read it. And I don't read master numbers, but some people swear by them, that they're very lucky. They're very powerful. They're very strong. I haven't noticed a difference, between someone that considers themselves a master number 11 and someone that considers themselves to be a 2. I haven't noticed any difference in the personality type. In my opinion, the fire numbers are the very strongest of the elements. Fire numbers. So Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, she has fire in her numbers, and so I don't have any fire in my numbers. And if you were to listen to me talk and listen to Teresa talk, like her voice and her personality and, the way that she approaches people is very feisty. And I'm not very comfortable being feisty. I could probably learn how to do it, but it's just out of my zone. It doesn't seem like it would be a good fit for my personality. If I want to get someone to change their mind, I often will use the word, could I invite you to consider, where she would say, oh my God, girl, just change it. Don't be like that. Just do it. Make a change. She's just more feisty because of the fire. So yeah, there's a lot of information about master numbers. There's a lot of really good numerology books out there where you could, or even probably online that you could download that talk about master numbers and the power they carry. But yeah, for me, I was taught to just add them down to 11 is 2, 22 is 4. And it's still feisty enough. It's very powerful fire, I find. For me, it is. So an example would be like Mike Tyson, like I was talking about earlier. Very fiery personality. Not everybody goes around biting someone's ear off.
Oh, are you a Mike Tyson fan? Is that why you mentioned that?
No, just because we were talking about celebrities and names and birthdays earlier. But he's got a lot of fire in his birthday.
All right, let's move on here. Let's get to Corey. Corey is spelled Corey, December 24th, 1977. You're old, man. You hit the 40 mark. You're old. I'm a 73. I shouldn't talk. Corey, I'll buy you a drink at the Paracon. How about that?
Okay, so, sorry, December 24th, 77?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. I'm just adding them. Wow. Okay, so do you know Corey, Dave? If I tell you about him, can you...
Little bit, yeah.
Just from the chat room, or have you spoken to him?
I have spoken to him at last year's Forest Moon Paracon.
Okay. Sometimes people with this birthday with the name Corey with that spelling will present as they like to connect with other people, and they sometimes may present as being a little bit on the shy or unconfident side, but they really love people. They love harmony. They don't like fighting. Like super cooperative, super easy to deal with, easygoing, generous. They'll go out of their way for you. I would say like all the birthdays. So December's a 3, air number. 24 is a 6, air number. 77 is a 6, air number. When I add it together, another 6, air number. So air. The name Corey is a 2. So because of all the air, this would be a person that would like collaboration and teamwork and harmony. So sometimes they may have a hard time being on a sports team if the goal of the game is to win. This person would be more concerned like everybody got a chance to play. It was a good game. I can't remember the score because we all won. Like we just had a good time together. It'd be more about like collaboration and connecting with other people, that kind of thing. And this should be somebody who loves nature, animals. Very often someone like this, like I said earlier, might work with wood or metal as a man. I would say it would be someone who presents to be very masculine but has a lot of nurturing energy. And maybe, Dave, you could confirm that for me.
I would say,
what you know.
I would agree with that. I think he's a little feisty as well.
Yeah, the name Corey's feisty, yep.
Yes.
Sometimes not a strong communicator, like a loss for words. They know what they feel, but like expressing their emotions with words, not so much. They would express their emotions more through gestures. So, if you needed something or if you were upset, he might go get you a coffee or help you set up your table, or like he would go like be of action, I would say. I don't know. Hopefully I'll get to meet Corey later this month at the Paracon. Right. He's in the chat room saying, for the most part, yes.
Absolutely.
I wonder what I missed.
Barrett is saying, all 3 of my name numbers are the last 3 numbers in my birth date. Is there any significance to that?
No, just coincidence. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
You're sticking to it. All right, let's get to another one here. This one comes from Joe, who has very, very good hair. And probably the best hair we got going right now in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And
Which Joe are we talking about here?
Joe Allgaier. Joe Allgaier, who is an alien abductee, just doesn't want to admit it. July 31st, 1962.
Okay. So July 31st is same birthday personality as July 4th. This is a very feisty person who's fun, clear, gets along with, similar to Erica Markham's readings, like gets along with every personality type. There's nothing they can't do. I would say as long as they're doing work that is challenging, like hard work, where they have to figure out the resolution to the puzzle, or sometimes people with this birthday might work in forensics or work in solving something, because the solving of things that people can't solve is really rewarding to them. But as soon as they solve it, if there's not another puzzle there for them to fix, they get bored. So sometimes they take quite a lot of courses, or they have quite a lot of careers, or sometimes people with July 4th or July 31st birthday will have several careers all at the same time that are absolutely not related to each other. Like they might run a pizza company, volunteer at hospice, and make jewelry or work on cars. Like really random, non-related career types. But yeah, they can do anything. They can work anywhere as long as they're motivated. Could suffer from lack of motivation sometimes, where they are either go, 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 and everything gets done, and they have all the, they have their hands in lots of pies, or they can't get off the couch and stop eating cheesies. Or Frito-Lays, I guess, in the States. What do you think, Dave?
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Does it say anything about his hair in there, though? That's the main thing.
No.
Sorry, Joe.
His style, like if you wanted to, if I needed to tell you about his personality, he would be an organized chaos kind of person.
I could see that. What about his alien abductions?
I can't tell you about that. You'll have to talk to Joanna.
I've already
or
told
Elizabeth.
I've already told him. I know. All right, let's get to Vivian, the Vivster, as we call her in the SOR Space Travelers Club. March 8th, 1958.
Okay, March 8th, 1958. Okay, you'll have to talk for a second while I add this one up.
All right. Yes, the Vivster. She's a good Edmonton girl. Oilers fan, I believe, even though she's not a hockey fan. She still chooses the Oilers. This numerology thing absolutely
similar
trips
to
me
Joe, out. Similar to Eric, but a little bit different. She can be very independent, likes to help people. It's an abundant birthday, being born on the 8th of March. And really what's happening now is, and which is a really interesting phenomenon, when I go do events where there's large number, like I might go do readings for a group of 275 people at a party, what ends up happening, whether it's a party of 6 or a party of 200, what ends up happening is people who come to see me, there starts to be a theme. And so every second Sunday when I'm on the radio here with on the station with Elizabeth, we might get a lot of birthdays, and people like give me their numbers, and they're fire, water, fire, water, fire, water, fire, water. And it sounds repetitive, but there's, like I said, there's only 9 numbers, and depending on where the numbers fall, whether they're in your name or your month or your year, it does make a bit of a difference. But the last several that we've done, not Corey, but Eric, Joe, Vivian, similar personality type, although Vivian is a little bit more independent, structured. She might work in administration. I would say she may work in administration in a hectic, chaotic, busy environment, such as a stock exchange or a casino or an emergency room, something where it's like a lot of chaos. And maybe we can get Vivian to confirm if that makes any sense for her.
We will wait on that because of the delay and everything, but yes.
Sure.
We will get into that. All right, let's get to Marie.
Okay.
Her birth name is Maria. August 2nd, 1965.
Okay. So Maria is a 2, which is feisty. August is an 8, which is feisty. Born on the 2nd is a 2, feisty. Do you see the theme here?
Yes.
Okay, so 8, 9, 10. Oh, when I add her birthday together, it's a 4, which is feisty. Oh my gosh, Maria is like a hot tamale. She, I would say temper. She might lose her temper quite a bit. Communication could be challenging for her, similar to Corey, similar birthday patterns, although Corey will be more compassionate and understanding. Not to say that Maria won't be compassionate and understanding, but she will be more like, you know what, if it doesn't fit, who cares? Let's just buy it anyways. Let's just take it home. Let's just try it. Let's just like go, 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 like an Energizer bunny. A lot of energy, very feisty. Yeah, she would fight for something that she believes in, like very vocally, very verbally, she would do well. I would say for Corey and Maria to just make sure that there's some kind of cardio or sports, or I wouldn't recommend like yoga, walking, or Tai Chi, because those kind of activities are pretty slow, but some kind of fast cardio activity where you can sweat, because Maria's temper would present, and I'll give you an example of this personality. Now, I don't know this celebrity's birthday, but just her personality type would be Jillian from the show The Biggest Loser, the weight loss boot camp chick who's like, go, 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 lose the weight. Like, she kind of pushes people on the treadmill. That could be Maria's personality. Do you know Maria, Dave?
No, not personally. We have chatted online a couple of times.
Okay. Did we get an answer from Vivian?
Yes, we did get an answer from Vivian. Oh, by the way, Marie said, thank you. True so far. Vivian said, not into that kind of work. She has become disabled from arthritis.
Interesting. Yeah, that's tricky when healing is needed, you know. But she would research arthritis and find out what works and what doesn't work, and she'd be an advocate. She advocates for other people very, very well. And part of the life lessons by having the one in Vivian and being born in this year, and when I add her birthday together, part of the lessons of this is advocating for other people, or, for example, animals, or the planet, to the point where advocating for yourself becomes very natural, where you stand up for yourself, you come into your voice. The name Vivian being a 1, this would definitely be a survivor of hardship situations. So I would say a young person named Vivian who's under the age of 30, growing up, they may either have not been listened to, or they would have not been heard, or they may have been not encouraged to speak for themselves. And so sometimes Vivians become quiet and don't come into their voice till sort of much later in life. So Vivian's not somebody I would worry about, because she could come into her voice and advocate well for herself. And there's nothing she can't do if she puts her mind to it.
She says definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nice.
Exactly.
I really appreciate all the feedback, Dave, because I do a lot of readings, and it's just nice to know if I'm on track or not, and I want people to have a good experience when they have a reading, so it's nice to have that feedback in the chat room. So thank you guys for writing down that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely, not a problem. All right, let's get to Gloria's question. She's wondering if you could read, I'm going to assume it's her granddaughter, or maybe daughter, I don't know.
Okay.
Roni, or Ronnie, R-O-N-I.
Okay.
July 2nd, 1996.
Okay. And I'm just wondering if Roni is a birth name or a nickname. We can maybe ask what 7.
It's Ronnie Raquel Roberts.
16. I would say mainly black and white, but this person would present as being very sensitive. They may go into something like acting or performing. They should be good with not necessarily spoken communication, but perhaps, like, for example, like a comedian or an actress, somebody who's playing a role. They've got a script, so they can like follow the script or jump into their character, where, you know, in real life they might not be able to come up with the words to be able to express what they're feeling. But a very, very creative soul. She should be good with taking things apart and putting them together, painting, decorating, entertaining. Yeah. I don't know if that fits or not, but we can find out. A few months ago, Dave, one of my friends called me because people know that I do numerology and I love to do it. So my girlfriend called me. She said, I met this guy. Here's his name and here's his birthday. So she said, what can you tell me about him? And I said, well, you know, he probably works in law or justice or management or he owns his own company, but he runs the people and teaches the people and leads the people, and he'll be concerned about balance and fairness and equitability, and he should be a clear communicator and a little bit political. I said, do you know anything about him? She goes, holy crap, he works as a human resource manager in a law firm. So it's just great to be able to do this kind of stuff. I'm really passionate about it.
Gloria says you nailed it on the head with her daughter.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks, Gloria.
Yes, the beautiful Gloria Vega Roberts, right there. Big mention for you, Gloria. We love it when Gloria's around. We do.
Can I give a shout out tonight?
Sure.
I wanted to give a big shout out to Ron White tonight. And I don't even need to tell you why. I'm just going to do that.
Well, you know, he still hasn't updated us on what tomorrow looks like for us here in North America since he's in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't been doing his nightly psychic job around here. Robert White, shame. But that's okay. We'll forgive him. Forgive him. He is working on trying to get me the Paradise City whistle, so I can't be too hard on him.
Oh, nice.
Yes. When it comes to the whole numerology aspect of spirituality, is there a way to connect psychic energy to the numbers energy? Are they all encompassed in one?
I find personally that numerology is more scientific, but if I'm doing a numerology reading for someone in person, I can't help but get psychic hits about the information. So, for example, like mainly when someone comes for a reading, like Dave, when you've asked me questions, your questions are about you. Most people, when they come for a reading, their questions are about themselves. But occasionally, sometimes people might come and say, oh, you know, my teenager's having issues. Here's their name. Here's their birthday. Can you give me any information? And I have to be a little bit careful with that because I don't have that teenager's permission to read them. So quite often I'll ask the person, like, what is your motive for wanting to know the answer to this question? I've had people come and want to know what's happening, what's going on with my ex who I haven't been with for 6 years. And I'm like, what's your motivation behind that question? Like, why do you care? Like, it's been 6 years. It's buried. It's done. It's finished. Like, why do you need to know? If it's like a mother concerned about their child, sometimes I'll entertain an answer through spirit and give them detailed information, or just give them numerology information about how best to communicate with that person or on what level that person communicates, because not everybody communicates verbally. So, I when it's in person, it blends together for me, and I don't know where the line is, and it doesn't matter where the line is, really. I try and do things in an ethical way, and, you know, if we don't have the person's permission to read them, I don't always like to do that. Sometimes I flat out refuse to, you know, do a reading for someone who's not present in the room. I wouldn't want people who don't have my permission reading me. So I just kind of go, what would work for me, and see if that's decent.
Well, Robert White just predicted the future from Australia. He says, today, in brackets, the future, will be great for you, Dave, being Friday, and you'll be getting ready for the concert at this point in time, 4:32 p.m. You are so accurate, my friend, so accurate. I can honestly say that you are very accurate. Dennis is asking, did Dave ask Guns N' Roses' number yet? No, I did not.
So, about the name Guns N' Roses. Okay, so
I don't really need it, but you know, I just, you know what? I know I have 2 or 3 more concerts to go to before I actually get the Paradise City whistle, which is the last object on my bucket list. And I missed it. I missed it 3 years ago, right before They started playing Paradise City. This 6'5" behemoth moved right in front of me on the floor, and it hit him in the head. And I offered him $1,000 for that whistle.
Maybe you're not supposed to have it yet, Dave.
I know that. But oh yes, it will one day be mine. One day be mine. Yes.
Once you get the last thing on your bucket list, what next?
Oh goodness, there's a few things.
Okay.
There are a few things, but that is the number one priority. You know how like the FBI has their most wanted list? That is, I've wanted that whistle for 30 years. 30 years. Okay. And I keep putting out the energy that one of these times that's going to be the time. What else would be on my list? I want to play in the World Series of Poker.
Oh, I can introduce you to some people.
Yes. Well, I don't have the $10,000 buy-in right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to just tell you a quick story about poker. So if you have time, do we have time right now?
Yeah, we do.
And then I'll go back to Guns N' Roses for a second. So one of my clients, who's a regular client, had a baby about 2.5 years ago, and I've done many, many readings for her and also for her partner. And she said to me, I'm a new mom. You know, this is the first year, like, my baby. Like, should I be staying home and, like, working from home somehow? Or should I be a professional poker player? And I did her reading for her. And what came out in the reading was, go be a professional poker player. She was really surprised by my answer. And that year, after the reading, she won some big national prize in Vegas for poker, and her husband won a big prize. Like, they're on covers of magazines and stuff like that. Local people here. So bringing up a new baby, 2 poker players, very successful.
Well, it can pay off. It can pay off.
It did. So when I'm looking at Guns N' Roses, the word guns is a 3. And one thing that I haven't talked too much today about some of the air numbers, the 3, the 6, and the 9. So this would relate to everybody who is water, fire, and air, but particularly to people like Corey. The 3 is prone to creative, compassionate, helping, healing if it's balanced. An imbalanced 3, like in the word guns from the band, an imbalanced 3 could lead towards depression or overindulgence in things. So it could often lead to drug and alcohol addiction, gaming addiction, like any kind of addictive behavior, even like going to the gym too much, like that can become an addiction. So a lot of musicians have air numbers in their birthday. So they can be either very creative, compassionate entertainers, or they can struggle with addictive behavior, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know, like Axel, has he had any issues around depression or addiction?
Oh, yes. Anxiety, major anxiety, addiction. It was heroin, cocaine, alcohol, a plethora of addictions.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because he's a musician. I'm saying it because of the 3 in the name Guns. Like Roses is a 2. Roses means like teamwork, working together, collaborating on things, which makes sense for music. When I add Guns and Roses together, like the word "and," it's not really the word "and," so I didn't consider it a word. I did Guns is a 3 and Roses is 2, and you add that together, which is a 5, which should try and lead towards having a balanced life. Is he still partying? Is he still...
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does it well. I have friends who have partied with him, including Mr. Bumblefoot.
I'm sure.
Yes, apparently the stories are crazy. Just crazy.
I'm jealous you're going tomorrow. I wish I could be there.
As I stare at my unopened album of Appetite for Destruction. Yeah, we're going to ride that one for a while. Tracy has a question here for you. She is asking, do you make a living through numerology, if not too inappropriate? And if so, do you find it too competitive with internet websites that automate it? I
don't know how popular internet websites are that automate it because I don't look for numerology online. I have people, I've got clients all over North America. Being a psychic is my only source of income. Do I make a living at it? My business, because I've been in business now for 10 years, I don't have any staff or anything like that work with me, but I'm making enough money to live off my psychic readings now, and my business has been getting super busy since just before Mercury retrograde this year. So, yeah, I do readings. I teach psychics. I teach psychic development classes for like beginners. Some of the people that come to my psychic development classes are other readers. I put on psychic fairs locally. I do free, like in September, I've got some free workshops coming up here in the Coquitlam area, just outside of Vancouver near Burnaby. I've got 4 hours of free classes coming up. I do a lot of work in the community, and I could probably be more lucrative in the way that I do business and not do as much work in the community and make more money for myself, but I really like to be of service and give back. So I often have fundraising events that I'll do where the proceeds go to, whatever society or whatever hockey money raising thing. And I do dry grad parties for high schools where the students will be paying for their grad night, and it's supposed to be like a dry night or a sober night. So because those kids aren't out like getting hammered and stuff, I really support the dry grads. So I often give them a really good discount to go and do readings at their events so the kids can afford to have a psychic come. So it's my only source of income right now.
I'm surprised a school would allow that.
Oh, yeah. At my last psychic fair, one of the ladies that came for a reading brought her son. And I was about to say, listen, we could put him in the waiting room and I'll be right here with him. I'll watch him for you because he's, too young for a reading. And she said, the whole reason we're here is because he wants to talk to a reader. And I said, I don't know that an 8-year-old is, able to get a reading. Like, I don't know that that's a responsible thing to do. And she said to me, he sees spirits, he talks to ghosts, and I don't see what he sees, and he wants to talk to somebody who knows. So she paid for a reading, and the young boy did not, his name was Giovanni, he did not get a reading, but he sat for 30 minutes with a psychic, and they did some coloring together, he was talking about how he could etherically be connected to the planet. Like his capacity for understanding about metaphysics it just kind of blew the psychic away. So she just kind of had a conversation with them about protection and grounding yourself and staying strong, be like a tree, grow your roots into the ground, that kind of thing. So it was a really cool experience, but he was a very talented young man.
Do you like working with kids?
That's a good question. I haven't worked with a lot of kids. Mostly what's happened so far is things for me have come like always in themes. So this last year, lots of men have been coming for readings. I don't know why. Usually I would say like it's 98% women that come and have a reading or call and book a reading, but in the last year and a half or so, men, and young men, like 20s and 30-year-old men coming for readings. And they're pretty blown away by the kind of information that comes up for them. Like it can be so specific that I had one young guy in his 20s, he said, do you know my mom? And I said, like you booked this reading, all I have was your first name. I didn't even know your birthday before you got here until you told me. So how would I know if I know your mom? Because I don't know your last name. I said, I might read for your mom, and I don't know, But he felt like I went to his mom, interviewed his mom about him, and then did the reading. It was just too specific, a little bit, hit home too much for him. So, yeah, I haven't had a lot of teens or young people come to me, but definitely things happen in themes for sure with me. I think the people that are supposed to see me get in touch with me. And the people that are not supposed to see me, they'll go to someone else. Or they'll come to me once and I won't see them again, you know. Not every client is for every reader, Dave. Like, different readers have different styles. Like, we used to have a guy on your show named Adam, and he has a really unique language set that he uses, and not everybody would be, you know, drawn to have a reading with someone with that language, right? So he might draw, you know, younger people or something like that. So, yeah, I draw to me mostly adults and mostly women, but more men are starting to come now. And a lot of psychics come to me for readings.
Do you think men are starting to finally open up rather than always having to, you know, put on that big, bulky, lack of a better term, manly role where we don't have feelings?
Huge. Absolutely. 150. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
What do you think has changed since you started reading?
I don't know what's changed. I just know that men don't want to be left behind, so they're doing the work and taking responsibility more for themselves and where they want to be. And so they're, like, I would say, kind of tearing down their walls, if that makes sense. Like, doing things that are not always comfortable to get a better result. Like being more emotional or being more upfront, or, you know.
So what you're saying is
reflecting.
we're not having enough men play hockey or football anymore, or go fishing,
you know
or
what?
hunting.
It's not even about. It's not about that. I have clients. I have a client that was on Facebook the other day that just killed 2 moose, and he's very nurturing and emotional and generous and compassionate. Like, he's got a lot of female energy. Like, the idea isn't so much that women have female energy and men have male energy. We all have both. And, like, to find a good balance so that we can interact with other people and still stand up for ourselves and be strong and do the right thing. Like, it's just a balance of male and female energy. So I think men right now are coming more into their feminine energy so that they can connect more with people and help and heal more people.
Let's get to
That's my story.
Let's get to a pair of questions from Ron. Ron is first asking, do you offer online training?
I don't yet, but if somebody wanted that, I would definitely do that, because I already do readings by Skype and readings by phone. So there's no reason why I couldn't Skype someone into a class or Skype someone into a private session for training. Easy, super easy.
I think you should with Ron. Ron deserves it.
Is this Ronald in the chat room?
No, this is Ron Moniak in the SOR Space Travelers. His second question is, he was told he should be a healer with his hands. Do you, or could you see him doing that also?
I think you gave me Ron's birthday earlier. Can I get it again? And is his birth name Ronald?
Ronald, yes.
So Ronald is a 7, which is intuitive.
I gotta find it here.
That's okay. And while you're doing that, actually, I can just go back in my notes. I'll just take a second here, because I think you did give me his birthday earlier tonight.
Yes, he did.
I'm not seeing it right this minute. It might have been near the beginning of the show.
Ron, write your name back down in the chat room if you don't mind, my friend.
Birthday, yeah.
Your birthday.
His birthday.
Yes.
I got his name. Yeah. So Ron is a 6, which is generous, helpful, healing. Ronald is a 7.
Oh, I got it here. Oh goodness!
Okay.
It just scrolled up on me. Hold on, damn Facebook.
Okay.
There it is. August 7th, 1966.
Okay. Yeah. This birthday is very intuitive. The interesting thing about this birthday is that Ron might get bored doing one kind of, psychic training. He would probably want to learn about, 10 kinds of psychic things, which, lucky for Ron, I teach that. Like, I do monthly psychic development classes for the students locally in Vancouver, And we do everything from rune stone readings, tea leaf readings, crystal ball readings, psychometry, numerology, all scrying with mirrors and water, like bowls of water. So far, I haven't taught palmistry, and I haven't taught anything to do with like throwing bones, but pretty much all the basic mediumship. I teach 24 to 36 topics a year, so we cover quite a lot of different things, like just an intro, so people can go home and practice it and build up their intuition and build up their confidence. And once they become good at it, then they want to learn more. So it's really, really fun for me. I feel kind of guilty, like charging for it, because I have such a great time at the classes.
I'm glad that you do, because I can honestly see this being fun. I really can.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Is it really rewarding for you when you see someone who, say, starts off not knowing anything, and, say, a number of classes in, you see them start to open up right before your very eyes?
Well, I think what I see is I see them claiming to not know anything, but I see them knowing things. Like they just don't see it yet. But like when you do an exercise, so for example, if we're doing telepathy exercises, right? And, we do 6 exercises, and between all of them, they each got 5 of them right. Maybe not all the same ones. So if there's 10 students in the class, 7 of them get number 1 right or whatever. So by the end of the 6 exercises, they all passed. They all became more telepathic the more they practiced telepathy. And when we do telepathy classes, and this is to me fascinating because I don't do telepathy readings, but so I'll just give you an example. So the last time we did it, we had 3 students, and I had in an envelope a red triangle that I drew with like a Sharpie marker, and it was just on a cue card stuffed in an envelope that they couldn't open. We just passed it around. I had them hold it with their hands, and I said, do you see a color? Do you see a shape? Do you see a word? Do you smell something? Do you hear something? Like just write it down. So one lady, when she held that envelope, her answer that she wrote down on the paper was American money. So on the back of an American bill is a pyramid, which is a triangle. Somebody else got fire. And, in elemental studying like Feng Shui, triangle represents fire in the elements. And somebody else got 3 of something. So it's just kind of cool. Like they're all feeding off each other when we're doing this because they're gaining their confidence. And it's a fun environment that's interactive. It's not like theory. We learn about things. We practice things. We talk about it. We bring up other stuff and ask questions and answer questions about it. And like even I often learn a lot from the students, right? So like I said, sometimes psychics come to my classes. So it's a bonus for me.
It really is. We're down to about 4.5 minutes with you. This show has flown by. I want to sneak in another question here from Dennis. And he is asking, is psychometry when you feel something wet but the surface is dry, or just a chill physically runs down your spine?
That's a good question. All I know for me is that psychometry is I feel information. I don't see information too much with psychometry. It's tricky because sometimes everybody senses things differently. So a lot of people that are practicing might only see colors, and a lot of people practicing might only see numbers, and a lot of people practicing might only see or only hear information. So like if you practice hearing information, you're going to hear a lot more information. Like Joanna the medium, she hears her information. So when she's doing a reading for somebody, while she's asking the question, she's getting the answer before she's done asking the question. So very often she'll say, the client wants to know if it was about your son. Oh, it is. Thank you. Like, so she'll even answer what she hears because she hears it so quickly because she hears all the time. So for me, psychometry is seeing images or people or information, feeling images, feeling sometimes emotion, feeling medical intuition. Sometimes I smell things when I do. So one lady came in, she brought a set of keys or a watch or something, and I was holding it, and I kept telling her, I kept opening my eyes in the room, because I read with my eyes closed, to see if something was burning in the room. And I said, do you smell that? And she's like, no. I'm like, it smells like something's burning, and I'm checking the candles, and nothing was burning. And I kept opening my eyes expecting to see a room full of smoke. And I said, does burning wood mean something to you? And she's like, no. I'm like, do you camp a lot? She's like, no. And Spirit kept bringing this burning smell to me to tell her. And what she realized towards the end of the reading was that 7.5 years prior to the reading, her log house had burned down to the ground, and she lost all her possessions except what was in her vehicle. And not everybody's house is burned down to the ground, but it came as a smell to me. So, I don't know. I hope that answers Dennis's question.
I still don't understand it, my friend. I really don't. Way above my pay scale. Way above. You know what? You deal with the numerology. I'll go chase aliens. Can we agree on that?
I'm going to follow you. I want to chase a couple of aliens too.
Well, that's good. That's good. So you're going to be down at Paracon?
I am. September 23rd, I believe it is.
That's going to be a lot of fun. It really is.
Yeah.
We had a really good time last year. We had a really good time.
I saw some of the Facebook pictures, so I believe you. What happens in concrete doesn't always stay in concrete.
Well, you know what? It does, unless it's tequila driven. And I'm not going to lie. You go to any other pub, and I'm going to keep this quiet in case people from the bar there are listening. But you go to any other pub or bar, a shot of Patron tequila is like $7 to $10. It was like $3.25 there. $3.25.
Wow.
And old Davey, a little secret about him. I don't drink. Okay, I'm not a big drinker at all. But I do appreciate good tequila. It's soothing. It's satisfying. Makes you feel like a man. Honestly,
that's not what Shania Twain says.
Yes, I know. Paisley, we're into the final moments here. Please tell everybody what they can find on your website, paisleytown.com.
On my website, they can find my psychic fair dates, my information to contact me for a private reading for numerology. It's really hard to do psychometry online because I can't hold objects through the computer, but I do medical intuition, can answer lots of questions. Paisley at paisleytown.com. And yeah, I'm on Facebook too. If they want to find me there, they can.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun because this was so out of the ordinary for what we do, my friend.
I know. That was really fun for me. Thank you, Dave.
Loved having you on the air. You hold on, Paisley. I'm going to wrap this thing up. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking out to Little Brother is Watching. He's on a plane right now heading to Asia for a big tour, then over to Europe, and then home for October before making his way west for December. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rock with us each and every night to Mr. B. Tomorrow night on the program, R. Keith Andrews is back with the ET Connection. He comes on the first Friday of every month. However, it won't be me in the hot seat. Dave Cruz from Spaced Out Saturdays will be here. I'm going to be at Guns N' Roses. I'm going to have my horns up, cheering on Axl, Slash, and Duff, taking a night off. It's a rarity for me, but we're going to do it. I want to say thank you to my team, Everett Thiemer, Eric Markham from The Encounter Online, Tim Doyle and Jolene Lammers, web design, Catherine James, social media, Bob Davis, our great announcer, who brings us in and out of every show, Kim Gandy, our Director of Business Management, and Leslie Mitchell-Clark from LMC Media, our promotions company. Thank you so much. But most importantly, all of you in the chat rooms, on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, sharing our show, spreading the information, spreading it via your mouth to your friends, your family, anybody who asks about the weird and strange. You guys make it special, and that's why we're here, because together, my friends, we own the night. We will see you on Monday. Come back for the show tomorrow night. Keith will be here for your questions. So will Dave Cruz. Enjoy your time. Horns up, Paradise City. Mr. Bumblefoot, do us a favor. Take us home.